It is to address the phenomenon of accidental landlords, people who built a house or bought a house and find that they're no longer living in the area. They've to move to another part of the country or leave the country temporarily. Now, obviously, we want those houses, if they're not living in them, we want them to rent them or sell them to somebody else because we want as much houses as possible. If those people can't get their house back when they return to the country, or if there's any suggestion that they won't be able to take up occupation of their house again, well, they're simply, regardless of what incentives you bring in, for example, around increasing the amount for housing Ukrainian people, or tax penalisations or tax incentives, or vacant house levies, which is relatively paltry. I'll put it this way: if I had a vacant house, I'd be taking my chances with the vacant tax before I'd rent it in circumstances if I thought I couldn't get it back. And the difficulty is that you have removed that for this period, the fact that you can serve notice that you need the house for your own use or for the use of a family member. Now, I'm not talking about people maybe who have a huge portfolio of property. Clearly, that's an investment portfolio. Minister, if I'm wrong in that, I'm very happy to stand corrected, that is what you're doing now. Because I don't believe that this will come to an end. Deputy Boyd Barrett and I might disagree about some of the solutions, but I would agree with him that the problem is not going to go away. I don't think even you think that the problem is going to go away by next March. So if it's proportionate to bringing these restrictions now, well, then you're going to have an argument that it's proportionate to extend them in March, because if anything, the problem will be even greater. You're saying that you won't extend it beyond March. But I mean, lots of legislation, there's no provision to extend it. You bring in legislation, an amendment act, you could bring it through the Houses even faster than you brought this through. I mean, there was a lot of talk about this for 2 weeks and they were going through all stages in a couple of hours. So, I mean, you could bring it through amending legislation as well in a couple of hours. So I don't buy that argument.